The following program contains language, images, and/or subject matter that may be objectionable to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Direct from Albany, New York, it's time for the News Media Zone. With your hosts, Ed and Dave. Tonight, a look at this week's new film and DVD releases. And a chance to win free movie tickets with the poster campaign. And now your hosts, Ed and Dave.
Hello, and welcome to the New Media Zone. Ed and Dave here, Ed and Dave with you. Tonight we have part 3 of the Wacky Work Story show. I thought this might be a 2-parter, but then I was afraid we would have enough for one even. But as we go along, more stories are coming to us, and they all must be told.
It must be told.
Every story must be told.
It's like that movie, The Greatest Story Ever Told.
This is a story of 2 people who took tests and wound up in the States and wound up there for a long time.
And had experiences. Quite simply.
I'm sure people have experiences. We had some from Pier 1 we told, but not this many. Not this many.
Well, that's because we were there so long.
We were so long,
the chances of stories popping up are going to be much better than working 2-3 years at a retail place as opposed to 30 years at a
Well, you
office.
were in the same department the whole time. I had 2 different departments, both wacky.
Yeah, I had a very brief stint in, oh my God, I don't remember. It wasn't the Department of Motor Vehicles, it was a call center. Oh, tax.
Oh.
They had this isn't a wacky story, but it's a story. They hired, it was a group hiring, and we were all in training together. I took it, and there were 20 positions. Now, this is when I lived in Clifton Park.
Was this on the campus tax?
Well, that's part of the story.
Okay.
There were 20 positions, 19 of which were in Latham. 1 was in Albany. And I didn't want to take the job unless it was Latham. Mm-hmm. So I was discussing it amongst the wife at the time, and I said, 19 are in Latham. I said, I'll probably, get Latham, so I might as well take the job. I take the job, and we're in our training session, and a couple of times, it was like a 4-week training session. During the course of the training, someone would ask the trainer, says, do you have any idea where we're being assigned? Because there are different offices within the locations. And they would say, no, we're not allowed to disclose that. Well, then near the end of the training session, someone says, do you have any idea where we're going to be assigned? And he says, yes, we know. And he says, well, can you at least tell us where, we're going to be? And he says, well, we're really not supposed to do that. And everyone's in an uproar. Just freaking tell us. So he says, okay, tell us. So he lists everybody. I got Albany.
Oh.
I was the only one that got Albany.
Oh.
I got up and was walking out, and the guy, where are you going? I said, I'm leaving. I'm going back to my old job. He goes, well, what are you doing that for? I said, because I took this because I figured my chances of getting Albany were pretty slim, 1 in 20. I said, I wanted Latham as close to my house. I said, I'm the one that got Albany. I'm out. And they left.
Huh.
And that was that.
I wonder, was there anybody that wanted Albany you could have traded with? Or
there was no hand going up saying, I'll take Albany.
Oh, okay.
No,
So yeah, that's what you got to do. Back to the old job, which you can do.
Yep.
Within a certain amount of time there.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, let's get these stories, because I don't want to do any more of these.
Well, I'm at number 6 here.
Talk fast.
Number 6 here. Now, you said something along these lines. You would get to be talking to people, and this was, for some reason, people would just spill their stories.
Oh, yes.
So you would think maybe you don't tell your coworkers these things, but no. This one is Same Time Next Week. We're calling this story.
Okay.
Do you know the movie?
Same time next year.
And they would get together every year at the same place.
Right.
Now, this woman who was married told me she was getting together with her special friend, which is what she called them.
I am not making comments on this story at all.
I want to say I remember clearly when we went to Troy. So this started around 1997. And it was continuing, as far as I know, in 2018. So that's 20 years or so, right?
Okay, yeah.
So this was going on for 20 years. This woman I worked with was having this fling with her friend.
Let me just interject quickly.
Okay.
Kudos for not getting caught. Go ahead.
Well, that's the problem. If your wife was telling you she was going to spend the weekend with this one, or she was stopping after work, and whatever other excuses were being told, wouldn't you think after like 6 months you would pick up there's something going on here?
Only if you cared.
If you cared.
Maybe you're like, good, stay away from me, I don't care.
Well, here's the problem here. This guy was like 20 years older than her.
Oh, he didn't have the energy.
Well, I think, he couldn't say too much. He had this 20-year-old babe here. So he can't really bring up anything. And I swear, I have a good memory. I swear I asked one time, well, doesn't your husband catch on with any of this? And I swear she said, well, one time he said it to me, I don't care what you do outside there as long as you come home to me. So the guy must have known. And when I brought that up 10 years later, remember when the husband said that? He never said that. I got a good memory. The guy knew what was going on and he couldn't do anything. Plus he was some kind of pastor or deacon at this church somewhere. So you can't really bring up that your wife has been screwing around on you for 20 years. It might not look good in the church.
So how old was she? Like mid-20s, 30?
Like 23 when I started.
So he was 40-ish?
Yeah.
There's 40-year-old babes. He could have got a babe at 40.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what it was.
She had the lure.
But the stories...
Of the Kluge.
The Kluge was very active. And after she had her kid, she had her tubes tied. I think...
it's called free love.
Yeah, she didn't want any accidents. But the stories I would hear, and I'm all for it. I'm bored at this horrible workplace. I'll hear a filthy story about what you did on your lunch hour. She would go and play basketball at the court down the street, and there was some woods off to the side, so she would just drop her shorts, and he would give it to her while she was bent over right outside the courts. Or she's going to visit her friend, and she's got a hot tub, so her friend and her female friend and her male friend and her all together in a hot tub. Just the wildest, wackiest stories. And this was pre-cell phone, so she had to be making these connections on the phone at one time. And then, of course, when you got your cell phone. So...
well, I had mentioned to you the debauchery off camera.
Yeah.
Which I will not... go into now, but there was one story that I recall was we were at this bar, the dance floor, like people are out dancing and all this. This was that woman that was with our group all the time. She was a little accessible.
Okay.
And we could actually heard her on the dance floor screaming at the top of her lungs. We didn't know what the hell she was saying. But we sort of thought we heard, but we couldn't really decipher it. And then she just casually was dancing with some guy. She casually lifts up her skirt, exposing the fact that, and I quote, "I got no drawers." That's what she was screaming to the guy, and showed him that she had no drawers on. I don't know what happened afterwards. I can assume, but that's part of the shenanigans.
Yeah, there was. There were the sex shenanigans going on. I guess that's coming up in another section. But I wasn't involved in any of them. You might have been involved in some of the shenanigans. Here's number 5 on my list. We're calling this the Stupendous Supervisor section.
Okay.
When I went to the files and labor, we had this Jackie supervisor. She seemed like a kindly old woman when I went in for the interview. But when I went there, she held this office in fear. It was like a concentration camp, a prisoner of war camp, where people couldn't speak. She threatened us. She was going to take our headphones away if we talked in the files. You can't talk. I'm allowing you to have these headphones so you don't talk. She would tell people that they had to raise their hands before they went to the bathroom and wash their patties.
What is this, 6th grade?
It was. I thought I was back in 6th grade with this woman, this supervisor. And this was the pinnacle of her tenure. Piles of work. It wasn't a time when we were short on people, but piles of work were piling up on tables. I wish I had the camera on the phone. Take a picture of this. It was piling up because we had to take the unemployment form, which were already stapled. They were stapled and ready to be sorted, but she didn't like where the staples were on the paper. We had to take the staple remover, put the staple 1/4 inch down and 1/4 inch over, and restaple all these papers because she wanted them neat and tidy.
That's not unusual for I've been involved with superiors who were that nitpicky on certain things. But I just want to get to these quickly. I have 2 things that were probably 2 of the most sickening stories.
Okay.
One is just kind of gross, and the other is just disgusting. But the group, the work environment, would have parties.
Yeah.
Whether it was someone's
the
baby
birthdays,
shower,
yeah.
yes, or the monthly birthdays, and they would, or even at Christmas time, they would have, like, if you didn't cater it, they would sign up and say, "Hey, do you want to have it catered, or does anyone? How about you each bring something in?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would not eat a thing any of these people would make, so I didn't participate in the parties. But when you first start working there, you kind of want to fit in with the group, so you go along with it. I said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll bring something in, and we'll have a little thing." I'm like, "Okay, these are just people." At one point, they would bring in this big salad, whatever, and I heard this story, which I cannot, for myself, I can't verify it, but I have to, based on the information, go ahead and assume it is true. A woman was bringing in the salad and had to rinse, clean, whatever, the salad, which most people use a salad spinner or whatever way. No, cut up the heads of lettuce and put them in the sink. And ran the water and was mixing them in the sink where your people spit and whatever, all in the sink. And I heard that story, and this was early on in my career, and I said, never again. And I never went to any one of the parties again. And the other story that was even more disgusting was, after I left this office, now there was a certain people, the data entry people, the people that were entering the information on the computer, they have rates. Yeah. You have to have a certain rate. That's how you get your raises or your good evaluations and so on. Some people took those seriously. Some people didn't really give a crap. They just had that attitude where it's, look, I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to, I'm not. But there were some people who were terrified of these rates. I have to meet my rates. I have to meet my rates. I can't. I'm only going to take a 20-minute lunch because I have to come back and meet my rates. Well, I had left this office at the time this incident occurred, and my new position allowed me. I would walk to many different offices. I was involved in their creating and updating their forms, and a lot of times I would have to go to these offices and say, okay, how do you want this? What information do you need on this form? It would be easier for me to go there and mock up a draft as opposed to have them send me it by email. So I would go there. One time, I'm walking back to my old office. And as I'm getting closer, I'm seeing things on the floor. I get off the elevator, and there's these blots on the floor going this way and going this way. and going, kind of into the office. So I walk in, the office is carpeted, and I walk back to that section, and I see someone working over by this desk and working on this chair and all that. And I'm kind of give it a quick glance, don't pay attention, and then I sit down and I talk to this one woman who I knew because I used to work in that area, and I said, okay, I want to work on this farm with you. She's talking to me, and we're just shooting the bull for a few minutes, and I go, what is going on over there? She just looks at me and says, I can't even tell you. I said, well, you have to now. I said, and there's all this mess out in the hallway. She goes, well, so-and-so, whose name I will not mention, was very upset. She wasn't meeting her rates. She was not leaving her desk, and she just waited too long. And I said, for what? She crapped herself.
Oh, no.
And as she was getting up, she didn't say crapped herself. She used a more graphic term. She said when she realized it was happening, she got up to run out. It just kept coming out the pants. And those are all the blots you see out in the hallway going from our carpeting. It's all in her chair. And it's on the hallway going to past the elevators into the ladies' room. And I went, oh, God, thank God I didn't step in that. But yes, that was, that's the, and apparently this wasn't the first time that it happened to her. It had happened to a lesser extent where it didn't leave a trail. It was just, oops. And then, I'm crowning. And off she would go. But this one was, it just, once it started, there was no stopping. But she was terrified of not meeting the rates.
Yeah.
So, either you deal with the crap and you get the good rates, or you don't. But that's pretty. That's pretty much my story. Other than the office that was constantly flooding.
Well, wait a minute. Is that your last one?
That's it.
Say
Yeah,
that.
I've broken into your stories with most of these. So the only left is the flooding office.
Okay, we're gonna do 4 shows. So hang on to, because you just reminded me with the quotas they had. And the dribble. I also had a dribble story. I don't know the back.
I'm telling you right now, this was not a dribble. This woman, she just had a full-on. I had 8 beef and bean burritos for breakfast, and they're all coming out now.
Yeah, I don't know the backstory, but I did see a trail one time, and it went past the male bathroom and onto the female. So I know it was a female that had the problem. And the quotas, I remember, was bad because there were 3 women that were pitted against each other for doing the, in quotes, good work. It was easier to do.
Yeah.
So they wanted to go up and grab that. So
I got it, yeah.
2 of the women would come in early
to get the work
and sort through the work and get the good ones.
Yeah.
And then finally,
get a good one.
The supervisor would mark them where this one and that one, and it should have been done. And Carol got in a lot of trouble for coming in early. And the other thing you reminded me with the potluck lunches.
Yeah.
The woman on like 2 shows ago who had the urine and cat smells.
Yes.
She would bring in some kind of dish, and guaranteed there was cat hairs on the side of the dish.
We had people when they knew there was going to be a little party going on, they'd come loaded with Tupperware to bring home the leftovers.
Those are leftovers I wouldn't want to bring home.
I didn't want the fresh overs than the leftovers. Where are you now, Ed?
I'm still on the supervisors here. This is just a quick story. This Nutty Elaine.
5 shows.
It might be 5. Nutty Elaine. Now, somebody, a lot of pranksters at the time. This Lori put a rubber mouse in this Marlene's desk. And apparently, nobody knew this. Marlene had a heart condition.
Oh, God.
So Nutty Elaine got all up in arms. Oh, my God, she could have had a heart attack from this. Who did it? Who put the mouse in there? And the entire office was brought together like Agatha Christie novel. Who did it? Who was the one that put the mouse in the desk? And nobody confessed. You don't confess to these things.
No, you don't.
So... that was funny. And this Julie Z, and I'll mention the name because I don't think it's the same now. And Julie Z. I had a cousin that had passed on, Laura. He was only 40. There's a wake or a funeral on Friday. I had to go to, so I had to go ask for the time off. So I walk up to this Julie's desk. I say, my cousin has passed on. I have to go to the funeral Friday. And then she immediately starts ruffling through the calendar. Geez, I don't know if we can let anybody go on that day. And I wish I had video of my face steaming. She offered nothing. I'm not looking for big condolences, but make some kind of effort that a woman has passed on here and don't go ruffling through your calendar right away. And I don't know what I said to her, but I let loose with profanity-laden things, and she was crying by the end of it, and did apologize later on. But don't, when somebody has passed on, immediately go to your calendar and start rifling through it.
Now, speaking of the mouse practical joke,
Yeah.
we had a woman who had this unnatural love for the color pink and a very unnatural aversion to sunflowers. So everything on her desk had to be pink. She would bring home office supplies to color them pink, whether it was to wrap them in pink wrapping or pink paper, paint them, I don't know, staplers, staple pullers, everything pink. But she had this freakish aversion to sunflowers. And as a joke one time, and I don't know who did it, someone plastered her desk with photos of sunflowers.
Oh, no.
She comes in, sees them, and walks away and just stands in a corner. And most of us, I don't think, knew what was the person who did it very inconspicuously, so we didn't know. And I'm looking at her, and I went, "What are you doing?" And she just pointing. And I'm like, "What?" So I walk over to her desk and I see these. I go, "The pictures. Who put these here?" She's like, "I can't go over there. Take them off." I said, "What? What? What's the matter?" "I hate sunflowers. I hate sunflowers. I hate sunflowers." So I take them off.
These weren't actual sunflowers.
These are just photos of sunflowers.
Oh.
And she walks over to her desk and she's looking, and she sits down. And I said, "What is it with sunflowers?" She's, "No flower should be taller than a person." Okay. So you knew how to get to her if you needed to. Mm-hmm. Threaten her with a sunflower.
Of course, any of this, even putting pictures of sunflowers today, you would be hauled in.
Oh, if you knew that person had a phobia, and regardless of what it was, a phobia to chocolate chip cookies, and you put a picture of a cookie on it, knowing you were going to get that type of, you're done. You're done. You're getting hauled to labor relations and even fined $1,000, which will hold in abeyance unless you reoffend.
I think even in the state today, they have to do away with people that are up to this kind of stuff.
And then, of course, there's all the sexual harassment training classes, and we had, right before I left, we had a couple of active shooter classes we had to go to.
We actually had an active shooter in this labor department. Of course, it was 1969, so it was way ahead of its time. But I knew the stairwell where the shooting occurred. It was creepy to go in there.
We had a guy jump out due to suicide. While I was working there, he jumped out of one of the Corning towers. And
of course, if you're feeling suicidal, please consult
1-800.
I would often joke that I was having a bad day, that I was going to go up on the roof and jump off. This is not something to be taken.
I have a story about that too.
You
I think
do.
it's 1-800-273-8255, Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Okay.
I had this story, and I said, it was more based on the Office of General Services and their inability to clean. And the people that just left the offices were always a disaster. And we had cleaning services, and they would never seem to clean. And I had said, this was way back, and I said, in the year 2000, if I'm still working here, I'm going to that back corner standing in the corner and putting a gun to my head.
Oh, no.
I go, and I am going to splatter my brains all over this wall because it will be there for years and a constant reminder to everybody how this place drives you nuts. I once had a boss say to me, he goes, Dave, this place will just wear you to a nub.
I wasn't worried about your suicide story. You just
no. He's just like, this place will just wear you to a nub. I'm like, okay. And another coworker called it a swirling, sucking hole of hell. So there you have it. And show 4 is coming too close
on the horizon. This was 3.
This is 3.
Let me close out. This is a quick. I'll close out.
Close out with this one.
Number 4 is just I had the restrooms from hell. As you mentioned, some it was just vile. And thanks to that last day video, I will provide some video, except for that one, which I put a disclaimer up on the video. Just some of the pictures that I've taken throughout the years of the bathrooms there. And you mentioned it earlier. One time, I don't like to go use the stall in there.
No.
But one time I had to go and I ran into the stall and sat down and looked up, and I couldn't move stalls the way I was going, and the door of the stall was covered with boogers. And an audible gasp I think came out of me, and just. I had to close my eyes for the duration of the evacuation because it was just vile. Why does somebody, there's tissue there, put boogers on the door?
Here's a question. Were they all dry or some glistening with freshness?
They were fresh and dried. And I never used that bathroom again.
I mean, as part of the stall stories go, how many times, and I could count this, I couldn't even count it. Remember the number. You walk in, and it's just not flushed. There's piles of everything in there, and you just either you kick the handle and it goes down. Why aren't people flushing this? Are they saying, I'm very proud of this, I'd like others to see it? I don't understand. Countless times you would have mounds of paper and mounds of, stuff in there.
I got very handy in quotes with my foot because you would have to raise the seat with your foot.
Yeah.
You would leave, put it down.
Yep.
And you'd have to turn the flusher with your foot.
Yeah.
And everything was done with your foot.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And even you want to cover your mouth because there could be, when you flush, spray from that very powerful flush, which sometimes didn't take it all down.
Just one last bathroom story. There was a guy, Gilbert's, and he was one of the 55Bs. See, that might have been an earlier show for the discussion on what that is, but he had a special condition. I'm not sure what it was. He looked like one of the guys from Animal House. I think they called him the stork. So one day, all of a sudden, he got up and rushed out the door. And somebody I knew was in there, and he ran into the stall, and there was some sounds and various grunting and sounds from him. And he comes out, and he shows this guy, did I get any on my pants? Apparently, he didn't quite make it, and there was some on his pants. Gilbert had sprayed all over the place in there. So we come to the close of my
show number 3.
Number 3 with my number 4. Now we've got only 3 left. They're kind of long stories, plus my honorable mentions.
Oh, God.
But I can get all these in a half hour.
And my flooding.
And your flooding, which we had
whole
talked
show
about.
on. I think a good part of the show.
Yes. So we will be back with the final episode once again.
I hope.
Once again, the special has turned into 4 episodes, like the high school show. Next time, Wacky Work Stories, part 4.
The New Media Zone has been a Cable 2000 production.